targeted as my retirement date. Assuming you're nowhere close to retirement.
No, not yet.
Have you ever come close?
No, I really haven't. Still feel young. 65 years young. Okay, still can outwork these young coaches.
What do you still? How are you still coaching at 35?
Just learn through experiences.
Anything in particular?
No, it's evolution.
Vic, I know the last time we spoke to you, you said that you wanted to find depth in some key spots, safety, defensive line, cornerback. 2 weeks later, how had anything answered yet?
In some cases, at corner, we're still, because of injuries, Cam Smith hasn't played much. We've had guys in and out of there that haven't had the opportunity through missed practices or missed games. So we're kind of a little bit in flux there, with Jalen already being out. What was the other position?
Well, it's safety and defensive line, especially
Yes.
the starting spot for safety.
Yeah, that's still up in the air.
And what about defensive line depth? How much has Desmond and Deshaun and helped you?
Yeah, really good pickup at that point in training camp to get him in here. Been pleased with his play, and hopefully he'll continue to improve and has a good chance to be part of the team.
I saw with the Alpha, he's working with standing up, but then when you were in the goal line situation, he was off with his hand on the ground. Is he going to be a guy who does both, or do you see him exclusively as that outside guy?
He can do both. We were in, when he had his hand on the ground, we were in a different type defense. He wasn't an edge player then. So, but he's capable of doing both. He's emphasized the 2-point stance, to work on it, and he's really made some steps in that area the last week or so of improving his play out of that stance. But he can play from 3-point too also.
As someone in my 60s, I can understand how difficult it is to work with people with less experience than you.
Yeah, look at all these guys.
What's it like? You and Mike McDaniel, he's one of the younger coaches. What's similarities and what's differences that jump to mind?
Oh,
Or interesting things? I don't know. I'm dropping a book in the water.
I think similarities are, we kind of do look at the schematic part of the game in a like manner. Obviously, our personalities and way about going about doing things is different, but no different than anybody else. You're similar in some ways, different in others.
Talk about the difference then in how you go about your work. I mean, we listen to you guys and we can see differences. How do you see it?
What do you mean?
You said there are differences in how you go about your work.
Oh, him and me?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, one, he's a morning person. I'm a night person.
Really?
So, yeah, I stay late. Prefer to sleep in if I could. He's the opposite. He's here early and leaves early. So.
Okay, are there moments where you roll your eyes like, oh my God, look what these guys are doing as an older coach in this?
Almost daily.
I was talking to Coach McDaniel about musical tastes. Everybody's got their own. And I saw Tony Bennett in Vegas once. That was one of the highlights of my life. Are you more of a Tony Bennett guy or a Frank Sinatra guy? I know you like Bobby Rydell, right?
I like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
There you go.
Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Just to give you a take there.
Do you ever sneak that stuff into the meeting?
Well, we got one in the other day. The music that, I should say, the noise they usually play in music is not music, it's noise. What they played the day I got my request in was music.
What are your thoughts on social media?
I don't partake.
So you're not here at 2 a.m. when Mike gets here, 3 a.m. when Mike gets here?
No.
Has there ever been any overlap where, you're leaving when he's getting in?
No. And I hope there never will be.
Vic, you adjusted to the new training camp, to this training camp schedule? I know you made reference to.
Yeah, it's been different for me, and it's still an ongoing process, and I'm looking forward to the end of training camp only because of that, so we get into a more normal schedule that hopefully I'm used to.
Because there's something specific from the entirety of the 2 preseason games that you can say, you know what, that really pleases me.
Yeah, I think overall it was good play. I do think we need to keep in mind that it won the other team's #1 quarterbacks, or last week it was, but he's a rookie. So I think this week, I think Lawrence is going to play, and he's a real dude. So it'll be a good test for us.
Vic, I know Cam Smith, obviously you're not going to be able to see him in 11-on-11s yet, but before he went out injured, and now with regard to Eli Apple and Noah, was the margin between the three of them in the competition for playing time small, or had one of those three emerged as a potential starter when you go nickel with Cater and X?
Small. It was small, and it still is. But, there's injuries involved. Cam just hadn't been out there enough. And the biggest thing with Cam, we got to feel like we can trust him, to do the right thing. We're all going to get beat some, but we don't want to get beat by self-inflicted wounds.
Vic, I wanted to ask you about Christian Wilkins holding in. Your thoughts on that, and how much work does he need in the ramp up of the season?
Well, he had the first, I don't know the exact amount of days, but the first 2 weeks, we'll call it, he was partaking in all the training camp and still does some stuff. So I feel good that whenever that's resolved, he'll be ready to go.
Another guy in that role. He's flashed a lot, and he's had a lot of playing time. Is he a guy that you can trust in that position?
Yeah, he's getting better and better each and every day. Been pleased with his progress, and he's definitely in that hunt.
Your defense has been without two of its top players in Wilkins and Ramsey. I know that's life in the NFL, but is there any frustration from that standpoint that you haven't seen the whole thing?
There's initial frustration, but then you're used to it, and you move on. That's just part of being in the league. Jalen's an unfortunate non-contact injury on grass, and Christian's an administrative deal, so which I think will get resolved eventually.
You talk to Jalen regularly? We see him all the time.
Yeah, I see him and we talk.
How is he in his cover?
I think he's progressing well. He's obviously trying to beat the timeline that the medical people have put on him, and he says he will. I think it's way too early to know if that's true or not, but he's working with the idea of coming back earlier rather than later.
Vic, at the safety position, what specifically are you looking for? What are some of the little cues and stuff that you're looking for to know who is
Just
right?
overall good play.
I know you're as excited to have Jalen Phillips as he is to have you as his coordinator. No question how talented and hungry he is, but what strides have you seen from him that maybe even have surprised you?
Yeah, he's I think improved in his fundamentals, both what happens early in the down and late in the down, and been very pleased with his play. And I think if he continues to improve on the little things, great things will happen because of his talent.
What stood out to you about David Long?
David can run. He's a run and hit guy. He's can make good flashy plays, which are good to have. A good tackler. We just have to become more consistent in executing everything.
We saw Elijah Campbell guarding some tight ends in the preseason game. What about his skill set makes him kind of right for that role?
Yeah, he's a versatile guy. He obviously can play safety and come down and play the dime position. And when you're versatile, that does help you and helps the team when you're putting together your final 53.
The other coaches here earlier talked about your teaching ability, and obviously you've seen a lot of things, but also your sense of humor to bring into things. What kind of sense of humor have, and what's your best line here?
I don't know. It just comes off the cuff. Can be dry at times, but I like to have fun in the meetings. That's my favorite time of the day, is being in front of the defense and coaching them. I don't go too crazy out on the field with the coaching because we're not out there on the field with them. I always say the practice field is the quiz, the game's the final exam, and we're not there to help them. So it's our time to coach them in the meetings and individual periods. And when they're playing out there in 11-on-11 drills, I like to leave them alone, and I like the coaches to leave them alone because we're not going to be out there with them. So big deal of my coaching goes on in the meeting rooms.
Vic, we've seen you throw flags during team drills sometimes. Is it specifically when you see a penalty, or is it when maybe you see something you don't like, or just what goes?
Just when I'm not looking for anything, but if I see a penalty, I'll throw it. Now, I haven't done it in a while because we've had these 2 weeks of joint practices where we've had league officials there. Maybe I'll have to bring it back out today. I don't know. But, you know, we were bad as a team last year in penalties, both offense and defense. I think one phase was last in the league, one was second last. And, you know, the only way you improve something is to emphasize it.
Nick, I think
Last
maybe
one.
a month ago we talked to you. You said you weren't fully comfortable with the depth. You wanted people to separate themselves and show you some things. Where are you now as we get closer to the season?
A little clearer, but not. This last week's going to be very important for a lot of people. You know, it's easy to pick a team 1 through 40, 45. It's those last 8 to 13 that are hard. And this week is going to be very telling for some of the guys.